The Young Man's Manifesto, Chapter 9 Goals, Discipline, and Creating a Life You Enjoy. Everyone on earth is goal-oriented. Whether or not those goals are conscious or unconscious, we all have them. It's how we are as a species. But to find lasting success, we need to be realistic and long-term about our goals. We need to take both our temperament and capabilities into consideration and have conscious intent on what we're pursuing. The way to achieve these goals is discipline. There's already a ton of grind set, hardcore biohacking, screaming at yourself in the mirror motivational stuff out there for discipline, so I'm not going to rehash the whole rah be a man thing. I'll be honest, discipline in life is hard. I find for myself that even in the most optimal circumstances, I'll slip into complacency and lose my focus. We all have a limited amount of mental fortitude or conscious decision making we can do in a day, and this varies wildly from person to person. I personally have found it very challenging to be consistent and finish anything in my life, but discipline is what separates the dreamers from the doers. I can bet you that Hans Zimmer, if you don't know who he is, watch almost any movie with an epic soundtrack, doesn't always want to write music. But despite those hard days, he does, and we are all better for it. You can be both a dreamer and a doer, but know that even the most engaging and meaningful work can feel like a miserable chore given the right circumstances. The best cure to a lack of motivation is discipline. Do it anyway, even if you don't feel like it. Creating fences. Our brains are lazy. Like I said before, we all get decision fatigue. As a person who struggles with discipline, I've found that creating environmental barriers to reduce bad behavior and make good choices is one of the best ways to stay consistent. For example, I love sugar. I have a sweet tooth that would make my dentist grandfather roll over in his grave. My solution to this? I don't buy sweets at the grocery store. Since I only go grocery shopping once a week, I only have to exercise my impulse control 4 times a month. The rest of the time, I'm working, or in my house, safe from a bag of Swedish berries, which is in fact the best candy on God's green earth, tempting my mind and body. This extrapolates out to all sorts of things. You can put a kettlebell by the front door to make it easy to do a few swings before you leave the house, or keep a book by your nightstand instead of your phone so that you can learn instead of doom scroll. Curating your environment to allow you to have good habits is an excellent way to reduce the amount of willpower you have to exert. Setting realistic goals. Let's talk about the goals themselves. If you don't intentionally live your life, the world will live it for you. As stated previously, you're choosing your life, whether that's through active or passive engagement. It's way better to have tried and failed than to float by and never find your limits. But again, you need to be realistic about what you can achieve. A good metric for this is to think about the goals that you can actually take action on. If it intimidates you a little, and you could realistically see it happening for you within a 6-month, 1 year, and 5-year time frame, then that's a good indicator that it's a realistic goal. I do not recommend changing your entire life structure all at once. That is a recipe for failure and burnout. You need to take small, actionable steps. Let's say you want to become a paramedic, and right now you work in the service industry. What are realistic changes you could take action on that would lead to that outcome? First, you'll need to make sure that you have the prerequisite grades to apply to take the EMR course, which is the first step in becoming a paramedic in Canada. If you don't, then you'll need to upgrade those courses at a local college before you can apply. That is a reasonable step that you can take. Let's say that you then take the EMR, but you can't seem to pass the intense final exam to get certified. This may be a hard blow, but you learn something about yourself. You don't do well under pressure. This doesn't mean that your dream has to die. Maybe you didn't study hard enough, or you can retake the test and pass. But if you feel like you gave it your all and the barrier is too high for you, then you can reassess. You still want to care for people in a medical capacity, but the high stress of emergency services is too much. Maybe you can look at becoming a care aide instead. In some cases, you can get your certification for that while you work. A little less pressure, and you can earn money while you go to school. Now, this isn't a perfect example, but you get the picture. The only way to accomplish things is to take the steps towards them. There's a dumb saying that I have found particularly useful in my life, which is this: the people that do things do things. The people that don't do things don't do things. Be a person that does things in relation to your goals. Like I said before, it's better to try and fail than to never try and not discover what you're capable of. You can create the behavioral fences and habits that you need to succeed, but it takes intention, introspection, and action. Create a life you enjoy. Now there's one thread through all of this that I would like to acknowledge. That is, that goals and self-improvement are great, but life is happening right now. Many people generally don't enjoy their lives, not because they've been taken out by some great tragedy, but because they've settled into a lukewarm discomfort. Their day-to-day is unpleasant enough to cause general irritation, but not so bad that they're willing to make any changes. It's a state of comfortable misery. We're back to that hedonic treadmill principle on a broader scale. Basically, you get used to whatever life throws at you, even if it sucks, and just keep walking in the same spot like a sad little hamster. But you can get off the wheel if you choose to, or at least make it less of a burden along the way. Again, I don't think you should sell all of your possessions and start a goat yoga retreat in the Alps just because it makes you happy. Happiness is overrated, and most normal people don't have the resources to create a perfectly curated life optimizing for moment-to-moment bliss. I do not advocate reckless behavior disguised as passion, or IV drip feeding yourself MDMA for a short but sweet life of total ecstasy, as previously stated. Like I said before, life is happening right now. Not next year, not when you get a promotion or retire, and not when you accomplish any of your goals that better align with your dreams, but right now. And if you don't enjoy any part of your existence, it might be time to rethink the way you're living. If we only ever receive enjoyment from the large things we achieve in life, then we're going to give ourselves very few moments of happiness and cheat ourselves out of the joy that can come through the little things. A lot of young men get caught up in the mindset of suffer now, benefit later. And while this is true to some extent, you'll wake up at 55 wondering when you get to start enjoying your life. Find little ways to make the things that are required of you more enjoyable. For example, I worked, and still work sometimes, as an electrician, running a van, and I liked coffee. I liked a few sips in between running wire and tying in panels. Back in the early days, I had no money to buy coffee out. I know it's only $2, but like I said, I was running on razor-thin financial margins. So I did a side job, worked a weekend, and used some of the extra money to buy a thermos. Now, instead of lamenting my tough financial situation, I could make coffee for 13 cents at home and drink a little bit of hot coffee throughout my day. It sounds like a silly thing, but that change brought some semblance of joy into otherwise forgettable days. Small acts of thoughtfulness can drastically improve your experience of everyday life. What could you do today to make your life more pleasant? Could you wake up 15 minutes earlier to have a calm moment before the chaos starts? Could you preset your coffee machine the night before so you can sleep a little longer? Could you add one small treat to your lunch so that you have something to look forward to? These changes aren't life-altering on their own, but they begin to shift the tone of your life from something endured to something appreciated. Pacing yourself to achieve your goals. How do we find enjoyment and sustainability chasing larger goals? The stuff that actually lights you up and seems way out of reach. Maybe it's switching careers. Maybe it's buying a house, getting a certification, or training for a triathlon, if you're a sucker for punishment. Again, I hate endurance sports. Big goals are exciting, but most people screw up their pursuit of them in one very predictable way. They go too hard, too fast. They jump into a frenzy of ultra-discipline and insane expectations. They cram 6 hours of study into a day, change their entire routine, and swear off sugar. It's impressive for about a month. Then they inevitably crash and burn, usually ending up further behind than when they started. You're not a robot. You're not an anime training montage. You're a human being with finite energy, time, and willpower. The secret isn't momentary intensity. It's boring consistency. Take fitness for an example. When I was younger, I wanted to get massive, like Bane from Batman huge. So I went hard, lifting really heavy every 2 days, protein shakes and early bedtime for optimal sleep. It worked well for about 6 months. Then my body just quit. I couldn't recover. My CNS, or central nervous system, was fried. The numbers on my lifts stalled or dropped, and eventually I had to stop altogether. I lost the muscle, the time, and the momentum. It took me years to figure this out, but unless you're injecting yourself with an insane amount of steroids or have 1 in a million genetics, you need to go slower. Now I do a 10-minute workout every morning and lift heavy every 4 to 8 days depending on how I feel. And guess what? I'm bigger and stronger now than I was when I was killing myself in the gym. This principle applies everywhere. Let's say you want to retrain for a new career. You could try to cram in 6 hours of coursework every day, but you'd fall behind on everything else. Your relationships, work, and basic hygiene would suffer, and you'd probably quit. Or you could do just 1 hour a day, one focused, consistent hour. Over a year, that adds up to over 360 hours of solid work, double what you'd get in a month-long binge, but without the burnout. The key is not to overwhelm yourself with the size of the elephant you need to eat. You finish it by taking one bite at a time. So identify a few small things you can do to make your life more enjoyable right now, not eventually. Then, choose one long-term goal and figure out the smallest possible action you can take towards it consistently. Not dramatically changing everything, not forsaking all in the name of success, just consistency over time. Make it a habit to test yourself against the commitments you've made in the past. Did you keep them? If not, why not? Did you get new and better information leading to a wiser investment of your time and resources? Did you just get lazy or distracted? Watch yourself as if you were managing someone else. What kind of person are you as a friend, a partner, or employee? Are you the kind that avoids all commitment? Then change that. Are you the kind that makes commitments and then never shows up? Change that. Make some commitments and then keep them. For best results, fully commit and do your very best. Watch how you feel along the way, learn about yourself, and keep track of what helps you be the best friend, partner, or employee you can be. Life isn't something you win, it's something you live. So live it in a way that doesn't make you want to crawl out of your own skin. Start small, stay steady, and try to enjoy the little things. Get a thermos.